Welcome to Family Friday. I'm Ray Davis, Family Life Minister of the North Oaks Church of Christ in Santa Clarita, California. On most days, or most Fridays, I post videos encouraging better marriages and relationships. Now, sometimes I review key points of articles and books on the topic written by relationship scholars and experts. Other times, I apply biblical texts to human relationships. Today, I want to focus on the key attitudes that wives should bring to their marriage. And this is based on Ephesians chapter 5, what's often termed the household code, beginning with verse 21. Now you can find previous videos posted by me on the North Oaks Church of Christ .org, our website, and look under the resources tab. That's northoakscoc.org, and then find the resource tab, click that open, and then you'll see messages from Ray Davis. In our present culture, the phrasing of Ephesians 5 verses 21 through 24 and addition verse 33 can be alarming. Let me read 21 through 24. Wives, be subject to your husbands as to the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, just as Christ is the head of the church, his body, and is himself its Savior. Just as the church is subject to Christ, so also wives ought to be in everything to their husbands. And that's from the New Revised Standard Version, the updated edition. Now these concepts of being subject to your husband, the husband is the head of the wife, as the church is to be subject to Christ, so also wives are to be subject to their husbands in everything. And we get down to verse 33, a wife should respect her husband. Some English translations use the word fear rather than respect to render verse 33 and verse 21 the same. If you'll go back to that verse in 21, we see that we're supposed to be subject to one another out of reverence or fear of Christ. Certainly this text, improperly understood, gives a husband permission to dominate his wife, just as some considered chapter 6 verses 5 through 9 of Ephesians as a biblical warrant for slavery. Now what we need to understand, first of all, that Ephesians 5 addresses a typical household in an urban Roman Empire setting. Such households included extended family members, often with servants or slaves, and they tended to work together and live together. Now, the biblical writer may have phrased his instructions differently if he lived in a culture like ours. Now, from a linguistic point of view, the words be subject, the head of the wife, fear her husband, can imply that the wife owes her husband blind, slave-like obedience. However, as we look at the context and the greater context of what Jesus says about Christianity, these are eliminated. These harsh implications are eliminated. And this will become clear in future videos when I look at what the household code says to husbands. For now, let's remember that Jesus himself redefined what leadership does in God's kingdom and what it is. We can go to Matthew chapter 20, verses 25 through 28, which says, "But Jesus called them," that is his disciples, to him, and said, "You know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their great ones are tyrants over them. It will not be so among you, but whoever wishes to be great among you must be your servant. And whoever wishes to be first among you must be your slave, just as the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many. Now again, that's from the New Revised Standard Version, updated edition. Now if we go back to Ephesians chapter 5, verses 22 through 24, it does not tell husbands to subject their wives. Rather, the text asks wives to choose to submit. Choose to place yourself at your husband's disposal. Choose to give your man the benefit of the doubt. You do this because this is how we submit to Christ. Submitting or yielding to Christ is easy once we learn who Jesus is and what he is doing and what he has done for us. Now, not everybody chooses to submit to Jesus. And not every woman chooses to place herself at her husband's disposal. But normally, such a choice of refusing to submit brings about future regret. Choosing to respect, admire, to be at the husband's call when necessary, to submit, is really about basic friendship. Back in the 1980s, Michael Argel and Monica Henderson of Oxford University did a study of friendship. And from their research, they identified 6 rules for fostering friendship. And in jest, here's what those rules are. Protecting each other, particularly when one of them is not present. Trusting and confiding in one another. Providing emotional support, offering help when it is needed, bringing joy or happiness to the other person, and stay up with changes and details of the other person's life. Now, those 6 rules seem pretty simple, but they're hard to implement. And really what Ephesians 5 is asking wives is at least be a friend to your husband. Now I know this does not address all the what-if questions, but I will say this. Choosing to submit and be a friend are the steps into making the two one. Until next time, respect your partner and choose to be a friend.